All right, what's up, guys? It's Dan from Crypto Camacho, and hey, guys, I am going to be recording a video right here while I am driving on a pretty far drive, guys. So today I want to talk about a few things, and do forgive me, please, if I do get a little bit distracted. I'm obviously driving, so I can't be quite as focused as I usually am. I can't show you a computer screen like I usually do. But I do want to talk about a few topics that I've been thinking a lot about in the last couple of years. Okay, so let's just really kind of jump right into it, guys. I mean, obviously there's the cryptocurrency markets, which is relatively new, right? Within the last, let's say decade, cryptocurrencies, blockchain have really been developing, really been gaining more widespread adoption. New applications are being built. New technologies similar to blockchain are being built, and we really are going kind of up from there. The power of blockchain, the power of cryptocurrency, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. It's something we've never really witnessed ever in human history. The ability to create an immutable ledger that can track the transactions between a sender and a receiver among two parties or multiple parties, right? That's what cryptocurrency is. That's really what blockchain is. It's an immutable ledger that cannot be faked, that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be changed, and cannot be corrupted by any source in the world, right? We've never had a technology quite so powerful like blockchain technology, guys. I mean, we've had other technologies, obviously, that are very powerful, but nothing quite the same as cryptocurrency. Probably the most similar technology to cryptocurrency or to blockchain would be probably the internet, right? Obviously it's very, very different in its nature and its functionality and what it does. But in terms of disruption, in terms of social adoption, the way it's going to change society, there really hasn't been anything to date like cryptocurrency or like blockchain, all right? And I was just explaining this to my family, to my sister, to her son, who's actually pretty young. He's 13, and I'm trying to get them to understand what cryptocurrency is and what blockchain is and what, how you buy it, how you sell it, how you interact with it. And they really don't understand it, right? They aren't into technology. They're not tech savvy. They don't really understand the really disruptive nature of this type of technology. And ultimately what it comes down to is that blockchain can facilitate transactions between people, between businesses, between entities in a way that's never been done before. It has the power to replace third-party authoritarian institutions, right? Like banks, like mortgage companies or title companies, like insurance companies that sell you insurance titles and premiums. Any type of system that tracks, stores, and distributes information, is subject to corruption, is subject to some sort of third-party centralization to actually make it happen, right? With blockchain, you could actually remove the need for that centralized institution because nothing can be corrupted on the blockchain, right? It can't be corrupted because it's an immutable ledger that tracks things. Once they happen, they are tracked and they are stored on the blockchain, similar to if a fly was tracked. Okay, take this for example. You all remember Jurassic Park, right? And in Jurassic Park, you remember that the scientist, he has on his cane, he has a little ball of amber on his cane, right? And in the ball of amber on his cane, he has a fly. There's an insect in that ball of amber on his cane, right? And at one point in the movie, they're looking at this ball of amber and they're looking at how the fly has been preserved in that amber. Well, that didn't just happen overnight, right? That didn't just happen miraculously. That happened over many years, potentially, many decades, potentially. The amber would build up and build up and build up over many, many, many years, millions of years, really. And the fly, the first layer would get captured on the fly, right? And it would encapsulate that fly within the amber itself, inside that amber. Then over time, more and more layers of amber are then poured over that fly, ultimately creating a very thick layer of amber, that encloses or encapsulates that fly within the amber to preserve it over time. So similarly, blockchain, it's a series of transactions that take place, and the blockchain connects them one to another over time, right? And so over time, you have this blockchain or this ledger, this transaction ledger in history of transactions between people, between businesses, between, different parties, that is essentially stored in time. And there's no way that you can disrupt that. You can't change it. Just like you can't change one of the layers in the amber around that fly, right? And if you do, it completely destroys it and it's good for nothing, right? The same thing goes with blockchain, which is why blockchain is so revolutionary and so powerful. It's because the ability it has to preserve the integrity of transactions between separate parties that may or may not even know each other, right? It creates this trustless network, this trustless ecosystem that can thrive without the need for a third-party oversight committee or third-party oversight commission, right? Or company or institution. And again, think of a title company, right? Getting a little bright here, guys, so I gotta put on my glasses. But think of a title company again, all right? When I buy a house, the previous owner of that house has a title to that house, which is a certificate that basically says you are the owner of that house. When I buy the house, that certificate is then transferred to me in real time, right? It's transferred to me from the title company, from an institution that oversees the validity and the legitimacy of that certification, of that document, of that title that is claimed to be the initiating kind of trust or document from that house, right? From the original owner of that house. That title can be transferred to other people as the house is purchased, and something needs to track the integrity and the legitimacy of that title. Otherwise, there's all kinds of fraud. You couldn't trust if the house was owned by, your mom, your neighbor, your brother. You wouldn't know who it was actually owned by, because there would be no legitimacy behind it, right? If it was easy to counterfeit, if it was easy to make fraud. The dollar is the same way, right? The dollar, it has integrity in the fact that it cannot be easily counterfeited. If it could be easily counterfeited, dollars would essentially be worthless. They wouldn't be worth anything, right? Because I could just go to my local print shop and print dollars, right? That's why they make it extremely, extremely difficult to counterfeit dollars, right? They put a little strip in a $100 bill. They may put watermarks in the $100 bill that you can only see when you hold it up to the light. They do all these different, very sophisticated, technologically difficult things to the dollar bill, the $100 bill, so that it is not able to be replicated and counterfeited easily, right? That's why they do that. And so in turn, the dollar holds value and can't easily be counterfeited, and which is why it's such a high penalty for counterfeiting US dollars, right? The same thing is with blockchain. And the fact that the crazy part is that blockchain acts in the same way, except it is much more versatile and much more flexible than physical goods, right? It's much more flexible than a title company that has to store information in their title company, that has to, make sure certain people that work there are trusted, they're, held accountable for certain things and certain protocols that have to go on. Same thing happens in the US Treasury, in the mints, in the central banks, same things go on there. That's expensive, that's difficult to do, it's hard to do. When you have blockchain, you have cryptocurrency, you can do this over a digital network, over a digital ecosystem, over really the fabric of space, the fabric of electricity, right? The internet. You could do this all over the internet, which makes it much more versatile and makes it much more flexible and really usable in a variety of different ways that we've never even conceived of. And that's why you're seeing all of these companies pop up, from real estate to video games to currencies themselves being replaced. And I guarantee you that any third-party institution that governs a large body of data, a large body of important documents, materials, certification, things that need to be trusted and that cannot be corrupted, I guarantee you blockchain technology will eat those in the next decade or two. It will eat all of those companies. It will eat all of those institutions, because the simple fact of the matter is that blockchain can do many of the things, if not more things, than these traditional institutions without people, without friction, without lots of money to do so, right? It's a frictionless network that is immutable, that cannot be hacked and cannot be fraudulent, right? That is why blockchain and cryptocurrency is so very powerful. Then you introduce the concept of smart contracts and you start to get some very sophisticated applications that can be built out of the blockchain technology, right? When you can start adding conditions onto this ledger that say, you know, do X, Y, and Z based off of ABC actions, you can start to get some very creative and some very sophisticated ways of transacting with people, right? I mean, you can even see that today in like the derivatives markets and the mortgage markets and like, you know, how, you know, what are they called? Mortgage-backed swaps, or I can't remember the exact name of them, but credit default swaps. These things are fairly sophisticated and they were able to produce some very interesting results, right? The housing bubble, a lot of people were able to buy houses. A lot of different things came of that. And the same thing is going to happen with blockchain. The same thing is going to happen with cryptocurrency, right? And so right now, a lot of the pundits and critics are saying that, you know, blockchain is temporary. You know, a lot of the cryptocurrencies out there and tokens out there today are simply scams. You know, they're not going to be around. That may very well be true, but what it's doing is it's setting the stage to mature the market, to make real legitimate companies spring up out of a lot of this chaos that's going on right now. The same thing happened in the internet, right? I mean, I remember the days when SEO was gold, it was king, and it still is today, right? But back in the day, in the 90s or the early 2000s, if you knew SEO, you knew how to do keyword stuffing and you knew how to fake the search engines out, it was absolute gold, right? But there was a lot of scams that came from that, right? There were a lot of websites that were popping up that were just plain garbage websites or scammy websites trying to take people's money. And they came up because it could be manipulated. The internet could be manipulated. Search engines could be manipulated. The technology was not quite there. The same exact thing is happening in cryptocurrency today, that there's a lot of scams coming out there. A lot of products aren't even being built, similar to the internet in the 1990s, the internet boom. A lot of people are investing a lot of money speculating on different cryptocurrencies as they did on different internet companies that may never actually materialize into an actual product or utility that will be valuable in the long run, okay? So keep that in mind. And that is exactly why I am searching for cryptocurrencies, tokens, platforms that actually provide value and utility. This guy's tailing me, I better get over. Woohoo! All right, that provide actual utility. Those are the coins that are going to win out. The platforms are going to win out, right? Even it could be a couple platforms, right? Ultimately, it may be just a few, but it could be a number of platforms in the beginning, right? Because everybody is trying to get the platform that works the best, build on top of the platform that's the most robust, that has the most capabilities, that can do the most things, that can do what they want it to do at scale, right? And a lot of experimentation is going on right now in the blockchain cryptocurrency world, because really people just don't know where this is going to go and how it's going to scale and if it's going to scale and what's going to emerge from all of this. And, you know, so I hope this has been very insightful for you. I hope this explains to some people out there that may not understand blockchain and understand the power of blockchain and cryptocurrency. But that is why this is so powerful. I mean, I've only touched on very few things. You know, I've touched on I've touched on a few things, right? But I've only touched really on a few different aspects of blockchain and of cryptocurrency, right? Smart contracts, the fact that it's an immutable ledger. Those are very powerful concepts, and additional concepts are now being built on top of these concepts that are even more sophisticated, even more groundbreaking, and even more revolutionary. But the fact of the matter is that blockchain, it's a ledger system that allows for transactions to take place between, you know, any two parties or more. When you introduce smart contracts onto that technology, that immutable ledger technology, that accounting system that cannot be broken and hacked and faked, then you start to get some very interesting scenarios, right? Being able to structure deals and contracts and ways systems and data interact and how they transfer to different parties. that can all be programmed into this. And, you know, really the sky is the limit. And I'm going to get back to driving, but I wanted to give you that little nugget of wisdom. I don't want to call it wisdom because I'm not an expert in all this stuff, but I hope it helps you understand this technology a little bit better, guys. And on the next video I want to talk about some other technologies that are really going to revolutionize things in conjunction with blockchain. Things like, you know, synthetic genetics, like synthetic, what's it called? Like programmable DNA, programmable genetics, programmable biology. I mean, that is fascinating in and of itself. Robotics, nanotechnology, a lot of these different things are coming out. They're merging together. They're getting more sophisticated, and a lot of money is being put into these things. Immortality. So I want to touch on that here on the next video. But I'm Dan from CryptoCamacho.com. Thanks for joining me on the road, and I will talk to you next time, guys. Got some more good interviews coming for you too, so stay tuned, guys, and subscribe if you like my channel. Please do subscribe. Appreciate it so much, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Couldn't do this without you guys. Thanks a lot.